Spring comes early to Herefordshire, and the wild snowdrops in February are a treat we look forward to every year. Later, the orchards are white with damson blossom, soon to be followed by cherry and apple. There's something special about our county of Herefordshire, whatever the season of the year. The land here is rich and fertile, so it's not surprising that this is an important agricultural area. Everyone has heard of Hereford cattle. For the people here who live close to the land, spring is a busy time, so it seems right that we should begin our journey through the year on a farm. But this is a farm with a difference.
Our family has farmed here since the beginning of the century, and David was born in this farmhouse. Today, we're basically a modern dairy farm with a herd of 100 cows. We also have a wide variety of other animals, some of them quite unusual. But as you can see, they all seem to get on fairly well together. We don't go in for intensive methods. We prefer the traditional style of mixed farming, which is still very popular with most of the smaller farms in Herefordshire. But I suppose what makes us different from other farms is that we're open to visitors for 2/3 of the year. So, on certain days, people can come along and see how the farm is run. Children love it here. We involve them in the everyday activities, like collecting eggs, which sometimes turn up in unusual places, and feeding the animals. They can even try their hand at milking the cow, the old-fashioned way, before seeing how modern machinery has simplified this task. Our collection of old farm implements and other machinery is a reminder of how much our lives have changed since David's great-grandparents used to farm here. The younger children thoroughly enjoy themselves in the play area. They can also make friends with the rabbits and guinea pigs. Here at Shortwood, we are 600 feet high, so the views are wonderful. The best way to enjoy them is to follow the farm trail across the fields and into the woods, which are carpeted with wildflowers, especially in the springtime.
Herefordshire is daffodil growing country. People come to admire the fields where they're grown commercially for their bulbs and blooms. But this glorious sight is something you'll not often see. Only the local people know where to find wild daffodils like these. Of course, there's more to Herefordshire than its landscapes. The countryside is dotted with interesting little towns, such as Ledbury, beautifully set in the foothills of the Malvern Hills. There's been a market here since 1665, and it's still going strong. Just around the corner, a cobbled lane leads up to the church. It's full of interesting old houses. This one now houses the town council offices. In one of the upper rooms, they've made an exciting discovery. During the restoration work in 1990, these Elizabethan wall paintings were uncovered, having been buried for centuries under layers of plaster and paper. It's quite rare to find such decoration in smaller houses of the period, but this is thought to have been the home of the town constable, responsible for law and order in the marketplace, and it was here where he would have held his court of summary justice. The place had to look impressive. Some of the panels contain biblical texts, no doubt intended as a warning to the offenders who found themselves here. Originally, both paintings and texts would have covered the whole of the walls, including the oak beams. The paintings were probably copies of panelling and silk tapestries of the kind found in grander houses. There's lots more to discover in Ledbury. It was once a post town on the Royal Mail route between Cheltenham and Aberystwyth. And here, at the Feathers Inn, the weary travellers could rest themselves and the horses could be changed. During the Civil War, Prince Rupert had his headquarters here at Ledbury Park. The nearby castle of Eastnor has a much shorter history. It actually dates from the early 1800s, but is everybody's idea of a medieval castle. And it's a magnificent building, well worth a visit. The parkland around the castle is also very impressive, with its herds of deer and fine trees. Unlike the castle, this old yew tree really does have a long history. They say it stood here for well over 1,000 years in the churchyard at Muchmarkel, a village some 5 miles west of Ledbury. On the other side of its huge trunk, there's a surprise waiting.
What do you think this yew tree was planted here?
Inside the church, you'll find the tomb of Walter de Hellion. His family were custodians and later owners of the nearby manor, known as Helen's. To reach Helen's, you follow a narrow track known as the Monk's Walk, where the monks who first lived here used to make their way to and from the church. At the end of the track stands the medieval manor house, and it's a real gem. It has everything you associate with a place like this. Tales of ghosts, secret passages, and a whole pageant of English history. This is the minstrel's gallery above the Great Hall. Here, in 1326, Edward III, as a young boy, received the royal seal from his father's enemies, who had just captured the king and were soon to murder him. One of the main conspirators in this dastardly plot was Roger Mortimer, whose sister owned Helen's. He also happened to be the Queen's lover. Years later, Edward's own son, the Black Prince, dined at this same stone table after the Battle of Crecy. Above the fireplace you can see what is probably the earliest rendering of the Prince of Wales's emblem, carved in his honour for that occasion. Another famous visitor was Mary Tudor, or Bloody Mary. These chairs were made specially for that visit. This amazing house has so many stories to tell that it really is a must for anyone interested in history. Spring swiftly changes to summer, and high on the hill behind the village, Farmer John Farrington is preparing his Shire horses for the season shows.
I've always been interested in Shire horses right from when I left the cradle. Great characters, they're part of me and I'm part of them. I must say, I sort of love them. It's a second friend to me, Shire horse. They are very strong horses, but they're very easy to handle. Like, oh, sure, it's very intelligent. Like, you can tell it to stop, go, right, left, and it'll do it, you know. I don't think there was ever a riding horse. They're far too wide to ride. Folks talk about knights in armour and all that, you know, but I just can't believe it myself, because I can never ever see a Shire horse ever going fast enough. Well, they were bred for ploughing, farm work, weren't they? Like they're, to have a good Shire horse, you've got to have depth in the shoulder, so as he's able to pull, his hocks got to be together at the back, so as he got power at the back to push. We use them at ploughing matches. We've had several geldings we've worked at ploughing matches. Some folk work them on the farm, but I prefer the tractor, you know, it's a job in the dry.
Hundreds of other similar drays, you needed to be high up in order to pick
I
your
love
way
showing.
through the other traffic.
First of all, they've got to get them quite fit for the show, which is a 3-month job. It's no good taking a bag of bones to a show. You've got to get it in real first-class condition. Oh, my daughter, she's very interested in showing these horses. She loves to show the horses with the gears on. I don't really know the origin of the horse brasses, but some folks say is they're to keep the evil spirits away, and others have different opinions. Myself, I think we put them to beat our next door neighbour to know as we've got better brass than them. Well, the bells are more or less used as a motor horn at a show, you know. They warn the crowd to step at one side so we can come by. We go to several shows. I would say 10, 12 in a season. I don't always win, but I try to. We always like to do our very best, and we always like to put on a damn good show for Bromyard. They get quite a big crowd there, in the region of 6,000 to 8,000 to 10,000, and we get quite a lot of folks with a lot of interest asking us a lot of questions as we can't always answer.
Mr. William Morris, accompanied by the Vice Chairman of Bromyard Gala Society, Mrs. Hupper.
Now, Bromyard Gala, that's worth a visit. It's held in July and we never miss it. You see, there's so much going on.
Use the throw then plays as good as well as you can the dogs, you'll be right, Sandra. Again, no hesitation from the other dogs, stays where they were told. Dogs can run around them.
An 1824 Bullnose Morris, owned by Mr. Dennis Milner, just going away from me. Complete with full complement of passengers. Now I've got number 6, is a 1922 Royal Enfield, owned by Mr. Whiting of Cardiff. That's a 225cc machine. Number 26 here in front of me now. This is a 1938 Bruff Superior.
Right, let's see what you can do. Ooh. Ah, now this looks promising. No, we don't give riding lessons either. Now, how are you going to get off, Ray? Woo! Stay with him. Right. You've got to get off sometime, Ray. Whoa! Well done. That was a smashing ride. Well done.
We will be doing a helicopter pleasure flight. Still on this evening after we finish packing our parish.